They say snow changes everything, makes the world quiet, peaceful, clean. They're lying. Snow just covers up the dirt, and in East LA, there's always dirt underneath. December 16th, the day the weather tried to kill us, but we were already killing ourselves. Lincoln Middle School, where futures go to die and legends get made in bathroom stalls and behind the gym. The forecast said flurries. What we got was a blizzard that locked down the whole east side. Snow in LA, like seeing a ghost, like seeing God flip the script just to watch us scramble. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back 3 days. Before the snow, before the choice, before everything went sideways. That's when I found out my little brother was a dead man walking. Los Moreno ran Lincoln Middle like a Fortune 500 CEO runs a corporation. Quiet, efficient, ruthless when necessary, merciful when strategic. 8th grade, but he moved like a man who'd already lived 3 lifetimes. That yellow camo hoodie was his uniform. LA Dodgers hat tilted just right. Gold chain catching light like a warning signal. He didn't need to raise his voice. Didn't need to throw hands. He'd just look at you with those dark eyes, empty as bullet casings, and you'd feel your own mortality staring back. Loss controlled the candy trade at Lincoln. Sounds small time, right? Middle school shit. Wrong. In a school where kids barely ate breakfast, where lunch was the only guaranteed meal, where food scarcity was real as the smog, controlling the candy meant controlling currency, meant controlling comfort, controlling small moments of sweetness in lives that had damn little. Loss moved Takis, hot Cheetos, Skittles, sour straws, chocolate bars, bought bulk from the Smart and Final on Cesar Chavez, marked it up 300%, distributed through a network of 6th and 7th graders, who got a percentage, 10 spots across campus, bathroom dealers, hallway runners, lunch table retailers, pure capitalism, supply and demand. Laws understood something most adults never figure out. Scarcity creates value, and desperation creates customers. He cleared 200, sometimes 300 a week. Real money. Money that kept the lights on at home. Money that bought abuela's insulin. Money that meant his moms didn't have to pull doubles at the nursing home. And his little brother Jay? Jay was his enforcer, his Tommy, his wild card. Jay Moreno was everything Los wasn't. Where Los was ice, Jay was fire. Where Los calculated, Jay reacted. That orange hooded jacket was a flame you could see 3 blocks away. Gold earrings that caught light when he moved. Always moving. Always ready. 11 years old with a 40-year-old's temper and a hair trigger that made grown men nervous. Jay collected debts, handled the kids who thought they could buy on credit and never pay, dealt with the competitors who tried to undercut Los's prices or set up rival operations. He was good at it. Too good. There's a specific kind of violence that works in middle school. Can't be too much, can't cross certain lines, or you bring down administration heat. But it's got to be enough. Enough to make examples. Enough to make people remember. Jay knew exactly where that line was, and he danced on it like a tightrope walker who didn't fear falling. Shoved a 7th grader's face into a toilet for stealing product, broke an 8th grader's fingers for trying to start a competing operation selling Mexican candy, cornered a 6th grader in the equipment shed and, well, that kid transferred schools the next week. But Jay never did anything Los didn't approve. Every move, every play, every act of violence got greenlit by his older brother first. Los was the brain, Jay was the fist. Together, they were untouchable, until they weren't. December 13th, Tuesday, 3 days before the snow. Los was doing inventory in the janitor's closet on the 2nd floor. His office, his counting room. Boxes of products stacked neat. Cash separated into denominations. A composition notebook with every transaction logged. He ran his operation like a business because it was a business. Numbers weren't adding up. He counted again, recounted, triple-checked his notebook against physical inventory. 6 boxes of Takis, 4 boxes of hot Cheetos, 24 Snickers bars, gone. Street value, about $300 retail. His cost, about $100. Someone was skimming. Los felt that familiar coldness settle into his chest. The temperature drop that happened before he made the hard decisions. He didn't get angry. Anger was inefficient. He got focused. He had 7 dealers. He'd run the math, figure out which one had access and opportunity. Then Jay would handle it. Simple, clean, surgical. Except when he ran the numbers, checked the delivery schedules, reviewed who had keys to the closet, only one person had constant access. Jay. Los found his brother behind the gym during 5th period. Jay was supposed to be in math class, but Jay treated schedules like suggestions. He was smoking a cigarette stolen from their moms, blowing smoke rings into the December cold. "We need to talk," Los said. Jay grinned. "That teacher still giving you shit about the history project? Want me to slash his tires?" "Products missing." The grin disappeared. "What? How much?" $100 cost, 300 street. Jay's face went hard. "Who? Give me a name. I'll handle it today, before last bell." "That's the thing." Los stepped closer. His voice dropped to that dangerous whisper that made people's survival instincts scream. "Only person with access is you." Silence, the kind that feels like standing on ice hearing it crack. "Los, man, I would never—" "Don't lie to me." Not loud, not angry, just final. "I did the math 3 times. Only you and me got keys. I didn't take it. So either you took it or you gave someone your key, which means you're responsible either way." Jay's face went through a whole journey. Denial, anger, fear, then resignation. "It's Abuela," he said quietly. Los waited. "Her medicine, the insulin. Insurance ain't covering the new prescription. Mom's is trying, but they want $300 every month now and she ain't got it. I saw Abuela skipping doses, saw her getting sick. I thought I could move some extra product, make it up before you noticed, but you're not me," Los finished. "You're muscle, not management. You can't cook the books because you don't understand the books." Jay looked at the ground. Ashamed, angry, defensive. "What was I supposed to do? Let her die?" "You were supposed to tell me." Los's voice carried disappointment sharper than any blade. "We're brothers. We're partners. You think I don't care about Abuela? I would have figured something out. But now? Now what?" Los took off his Dodgers hat, ran his hand through his hair, put it back on. That simple gesture told Jay everything he needed to know. They were in trouble. The Escobar family wasn't really a family. Not by blood. But Carlos Escobar, 9th grader at Roosevelt High, ran product through 3 middle schools and 2 elementary schools. He was Los's supplier. The one who fronted the bulk candy at prices that made the whole operation possible, and he didn't tolerate losses. Los had a meeting with Carlos every other Friday, paid what he owed, ordered new inventory, kept the relationship clean, professional. This Friday, Carlos wasn't alone. They met at the corner store on 4th Street. Los arrived exactly on time. Carlos was outside, 17 years old, face like carved stone, wearing a black Raiders jacket and carrying weight in more ways than one. Next to him stood 2 older guys, early 20s, tattoos creeping up their necks, the kind of guys who'd graduated from schoolyards to real yards. "Los," Carlos's voice was flat. "You're short. I know. Had some inventory issues. I got 200 today. I'll have the rest by—" "When?" Los did the math in his head. "Week. Maybe 10 days. Carlos shook his head. "See, that's a problem. Because this ain't the first time someone came up short. And when people see you come up short and walk away breathing, they think they can come up short too. Then everyone's short. Then I'm short with my people. You understand how this works?" "I understand. And I'm telling you it won't happen again." "You're right. It won't." Carlos nodded to one of the older guys. My cousin Miguel here? He wants blood payment. Miguel stepped forward, smiled. No warmth in it. Someone steals from the family. They pay in blood or cash. $2,000 by Friday. This Friday. Or we take it out of whoever did the stealing. Los's mind went into overdrive. $2,000. He had maybe $400 in savings. No way to move enough product in a week to make up the difference. No way to... It was the little one, right? Miguel continued. The wild one in the orange jacket? See him around. Hear stories. That empty smile got wider. Bring him to the basketball courts Friday night, midnight. We'll collect what's owed. He's 11 years old. He's old enough to steal, old enough to pay. Carlos held up a hand. Or, you bring $2,000 cash. Your choice. Family business loss. I like you. You're smart, professional. But business is business. They walked away. Los stood there in the December cold, watching his breath turn to fog, feeling the walls close in. $2,000 or feed his little brother to wolves. 72 hours to figure out which. Los didn't tell Jay, not at first. He spent Wednesday running numbers, calculating scenarios. Every option led to a dead end. He could try to move more product, but he'd need weeks, not days. Could try to borrow, but who had that kind of money? Who'd front it to an 8th grader? Could go to his mom's, but she was already drowning in bills, working herself to dust just to keep them housed and fed. There were 2 real options. Option 1, the Kobayashi crew, Japanese-American gang that controlled territory on the west side of the school's district. They ran a stash house out of a condemned apartment building on 6th Street. Los had intel because he made it his business to know everything. They kept cash and product there, probably 5, maybe 10 grand on any given day. Robbing them would be suicide. The Kobayashis didn't forgive, didn't forget. They'd come back twice as hard, and they wouldn't stop with just him and Jay. They'd burn everything. But it was possible, especially if the snow hit like the forecast said. Snow would keep people inside, limited visibility, chaos. Option 2, the Mangananzo Family, Filipino crew that ran the north side, bigger operation than Los's, older kids, more resources. Their leader, Marcus Mangananzo, had approached Los before, wanted to absorb his operation. Los had said no because he didn't work for anyone. But Marcus had said the offer stayed open, and Marcus had resources. Could probably float $2,000 without blinking. For a price. Everything had a price. Thursday morning. The snow started. At first, just flurries. Delicate little lies falling from a sky that didn't know how to do this. By lunch, it was coming down serious. By final period, the city was shutting down. Buses canceled. Roads icing over. The principal got on the intercom. Voice trying to stay calm. But you could hear the panic underneath. Students who can be picked up safely should call parents now. Students who cannot be retrieved will shelter in place overnight. The cafeteria will remain open. Teachers will supervise. Los looked out the classroom window. Snow piling up like evidence, like the world was burying itself. The chessboard just got more complicated. 300 kids stuck at Lincoln Middle overnight. Teachers trying to maintain order. Principal making calls to parents, to the district office, to anyone who might have answers. Chaos creates opportunity. Los knew this. Chaos also creates danger. By 6 p.m., the school had transformed. Cafeteria turned into a shelter. Kids claiming territory. Social hierarchies getting enforced or challenged. Some kids scared. Some kids excited. Some kids seeing angles. Los found Jay in the gym. His little brother was with some 6th graders, laughing too loud, that manic energy coming off him in waves. Need to talk, Los said. Jay followed him to the janitor's closet, their office, their war room. Los closed the door, locked it. I know about the Escobar situation, Jay said before Los could speak. Miguel's cousin? He came by my class, said he was looking forward to Friday, said it real specific, like a threat. It is a threat. So what do? Los sat on an overturned bucket. We got two options, both bad. He laid it out. The Kobayashi stash house, the Mangananzo deal, the timeline, the stakes. Jay listened, really listened. And for a moment, Los could see past the wild energy, past the violence, past the Tommy persona. Could see his little brother, 11 years old and terrified. The stash house, Jay said finally. We hit it tonight, during the snow. You understand what that means? We're starting a war we might not survive. Better than the alternative. Jay's voice hardened. I ain't becoming nobody's soldier, and I ain't letting them beat me down in front of everyone. That happens. We're done. Finished. Everyone we ever put fear into comes back twice as hard. Los nodded slowly. Then we need a plan. A real one. This ain't schoolyard shit anymore, Jay. We're crossing a line. I know. Do you? Because once we cross it, there's no going back. We're not just candy dealers anymore. We're robbers. We're gangsters. We're survivors, Jay finished. Always have been. This ain't new, Los. We've been fighting our whole lives. This is just another fight. Los looked at his little brother, saw the determination, saw the fear underneath, saw himself reflected back. Okay, he said quietly. Here's how we do it. 9 p.m. The snow was biblical. 3 inches and still coming. The power flickered twice but held. Los and Jay slipped out through the loading dock. Los had studied every exit, every blind spot in school security. He'd been planning escape routes since 6th grade because he always planned for everything. The walk to 6th Street took 40 minutes through knee-deep snow, ice turning the world into a frozen hell. Jay kept making jokes, nervous energy bleeding out through dark humor. Yo, if we die doing this, we're gonna be the first kids in LA history to freeze to death robbing a stash house. That's like historical, right? We're not dying. But if we do, we're not dying? The apartment building materialized through the snow like a ghost. 4 stories, windows boarded, graffiti covered in white, 1 entrance, no guards visible. But that didn't mean they weren't there. Los had watched this place for months, knew the Kobayashis kept 2 guys inside at night, knew they rotated shifts at 10, knew the 3rd-floor apartment, southeast corner, was where they kept the safe. Knowing and doing are different countries. You ready? Los whispered. Jay pulled out a screwdriver he'd taken from shop class. Let's get paid. They went in through a basement window, dropped into darkness that smelled like mold and forgotten things, moved through the condemned building like ghosts themselves. Los counted steps, memorized turns, always planning the exit. Voices on the 2nd floor. Los held up his fist. They froze. 2 guys arguing about a basketball game. Voices drifting down. One of them laughed. They were relaxed, comfortable, not expecting company on a night like this. 3rd floor, southeast corner. The door was locked but cheap. Jay had the screwdriver in the frame, working the lock, hands surprisingly steady for a kid whose life was on the line. Click, they were in. The apartment was sparse, mattress on the floor, folding table, and against the far wall, a safe, not huge, the kind you buy at Home Depot, the kind that keeps honest people honest but doesn't stop someone determined. Los pulled out his phone, flashlight mode, examined the safe, combination lock, 3 numbers. He could try to crack it, but that took time they didn't have. Could try to... Move, Jay said. Before Los could respond, Jay grabbed the folding table, lifted it, and smashed it into the safe. Once, twice. The metal bent. The lock mechanism jammed. 3rd hit and something broke. The door popped open. Inside, stacks of bills, rubber-banded and organized, products in bags, and something else. Something that made Los's blood go cold. A gun. Holy shit, Jay breathed, reaching for it. Loss grabbed his wrist. Don't! We take the money. We leave. We touch that. We escalate this into something we can't come back from. Los. I said no. Loss grabbed the cash. Started counting. 50s, 100s, 20s. His hands moved fast, calculating, sorting. 4,000, maybe 4,500. Way more than they needed. Also way more than the Kobayashis would forgive. Take what we need, Loss said. $2,000. Leave the rest. You're crazy. We're already dead men walking. Might as well. You want to survive the next week or the next year? Loss's voice cut through the darkness. We take $2,000. Maybe they think it was junkies. Desperate people. Random. We take everything. They know it was someone who knew what was here. They'll hunt us forever. Jay stared at his brother, then nodded. Loss counted out 2,000 exactly. Put the rest back. Closed the safe as much as the broken lock allowed. They were almost to the door when they heard footsteps on the stairs. Telling you I heard something, a voice said. Young, male, coming closer. Loss's mind went into overdrive. One exit, one stairwell. Whoever was coming up was blocking their only way out. Jay pulled the screwdriver, held it like a knife. I'll handle it. No. Loss scanned the apartment. Window, boarded but old wood. Here. They crossed to the window. Loss tested the boards. Nailed in, but the wood was rotted. He pushed. Jay pushed. The nails groaned. The footsteps got closer. Come on. Come on, Jay hissed. The board gave way. Snow and cold air rushed in. They were 3 stories up. Below, a dumpster, covered in snow. You first, Loss said. But I said go. Jay climbed through, hung from the ledge, dropped. Loss heard him hit, heard the breath leave his lungs. But then, I'm good. Loss grabbed the window frame just as the apartment door opened. Light flooded in. A voice. Hey, someone's... Loss dropped. The fall lasted forever and no time at all. The world spinning, snow rushing up, then impact. The dumpster absorbed most of it, but Loss felt something in his ankle twist. Pain shot up his leg like lightning. Move! Jay grabbed him, pulled him up. They ran, through snow, through alleys. Behind Loss, voices shouted. Someone was calling for backup, calling for revenge. They didn't stop running until they were 6 blocks away, collapsed behind a closed lavanderia, gasping for air that burned their lungs. Jay started laughing. That manic, unhinged sound that meant adrenaline was still cooking his system. We did it! Holy shit, Loss, we actually did it! Loss checked his pocket. The money was still there. $2,000 that bought them life, but might cost them everything else. His ankle throbbed, his hands shook, his heart hammered against his ribs like it was trying to escape. Yeah, he said quietly. We did it. The question was, now what? They made it back to school around midnight, slipped in the same way they'd left, changed into dry clothes from their lockers, hid the money in the janitor's closet behind cleaning supplies where no one would look. The gym was full of sleeping kids, teachers walking the halls. Everything looked normal, peaceful, like they hadn't just committed robbery, like they hadn't just started a war. Loss couldn't sleep. Lay on a mat in the gym staring at the ceiling, ankle throbbing, mind racing. They had the money, could pay off Escobar, could walk away clean from that situation. But the Kobayashis would know, would investigate, would start asking questions. How long before those questions led back to Lincoln Middle, back to Loss and Jay? Chess, not checkers. He'd solved one problem and created 10 more. Next to him, Jay was snoring, actually sleeping. How could he sleep? Then Loss realized Jay could sleep because Jay trusted him to figure it out. Jay was the muscle. Loss was the brain. That's how it worked. That's how it always worked. The weight of that trust felt heavier than any money. Friday morning. The snow stopped. Roads started clearing. Parents came to collect kids. The school slowly emptied. Loss and Jay stayed until the end, waiting. At 6 p.m., they left school. Walked to the corner store on 4th Street. Carlos was already there, Miguel and another enforcer with him. "You got my money?" Carlos asked. Los pulled out an envelope. $2,000. Exact. Carlos took it, counted it again, looked at Los with new eyes. "Where'd you get this?" "Does it matter?" Miguel stepped forward. "It matters if you're moving in on someone else's territory. It matters if you started something that's gonna blow back on us." "It's clean," Los lied. "Saved up, sold some things. It's done." Carlos studied him for a long moment, then nodded. "Okay, we're square. But Los, don't come up short again. Next time, I let Miguel have his fun." They walked away. Jay let out a breath he'd been holding for what felt like days. "We did it. We're clear." "Not yet," Los said, because he'd seen something in Carlos's eyes. Recognition, respect, but also suspicion. And suspicion was dangerous. Saturday. The snow melted. The city came back to life. Everything returned to normal. Except nothing was normal. Los went to school Monday expecting retaliation, expecting the Kobayashis to come through Lincoln like a storm, expecting everything to explode. Nothing happened. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, still nothing. Friday, Los got a text from an unknown number. "We know it was you. We're watching." That's it. No threats, no demands, just surveillance. Los showed Jay. They know. So what do? We wait, we watch, we prepare. For what? For war. But the war didn't come. Not that week, not the next. What came instead was worse. Marcus Mangananzo approached Los in the cafeteria 3 weeks later, sat down across from him without asking, smiled that politician's smile. "Heard you had some trouble. Heard you handled it. Don't know what you're talking about." "Sure you don't." Marcus's smile didn't waver. "Also heard the Kobayashis are looking for whoever hit their stash house, looking hard, offering rewards for information." Los said nothing. "That's the thing about making moves," Marcus continued. "Even when you win, you lose, because now you got enemies. Now you're always looking over your shoulder. Now you need allies. I got my brother. Your brother's muscle. Muscle is important. But muscle doesn't stop a bullet. Doesn't stop 10 guys with bats. Doesn't stop the kind of pressure that's coming your way." "What do you want, Marcus?" "Same thing I wanted before. Merge operations. You and Jay join the Mangananzo family. Your territory becomes our territory. Your problems become our problems. And our protection becomes your protection." "We're not joining." "Think about it," Marcus interrupted. "Because the Kobayashis, they're patient. They'll wait. They'll watch. And when you least expect it, when you think maybe you're safe, that's when they'll strike. But if you're with us, they have to go through us, and nobody wants that smoke." He stood up, adjusted his jacket. "Offer expires in 1 week. After that, you're on your own." He walked away, leaving Los sitting there with a half-eaten lunch and a whole new problem. Los told Jay that night. They were at the park, the one where they used to play when they were kids, before candy operations, before stash house robberies, before they had to grow up faster than anyone should. "We joining?" Jay asked. "I don't know." "Los, you always know." "Not this time." Los sat on a swing. Didn't swing, just sat. "If we join, we're giving up everything we built, everything we control. We become soldiers in someone else's army. But we live. Maybe. Or maybe we just trade one master for another. Maybe we survive the Kobayashis but lose ourselves." Jay was quiet for a long time. Then, "Remember when we started? The candy thing? You said it was so we could take care of family. So Moms didn't have to work herself to death. So Abuela could get her medicine. So we could have something that was ours." "I remember. Are we still doing that? Or did we forget why we started?" Los looked at his little brother, 11 years old and asking questions that didn't have good answers. I took the product to help Abuela, Jay continued. I know it was wrong. I know I should have told you. But I did it because that's what this was supposed to be about. Family. And now we're talking about joining crews and watching for retaliation and… When did we stop being brothers and start being criminals? When the world didn't give us a choice, Los said quietly. There's always a choice. Is there? They sat in silence. Snow was gone, but the cold remained. Winter in LA. Rare but real. Just like the choices they faced. Los made his decision. Monday morning, he found Marcus Mangananzo. Said 2 words. We're in. Marcus smiled, shook his hand. Smart move. You and Jay report to me now. I'll send you the details. Los nodded, went to class, went through the motions of being a student, but inside, he felt something break, something that didn't make noise when it shattered. He found Jay at lunch, told him. Jay didn't react at first. Then, okay, if that's what you think is best. You disagree? Doesn't matter. You're the brain, I'm the muscle. That's how this works. But there was something in Jay's voice. Distance. Hurt. Jay, it's cool, Los, really. You made the call. We live with it. For the first time since they'd started working together, Los felt the partnership crack. 3 months later, Los and Jay worked for the Mangananzo family, ran product for Marcus, did collections, expanded territory, made more money than they'd ever made on their own. But the money felt different. The work felt different. They weren't building something anymore. They were maintaining someone else's empire. Jay changed, got harder, colder, followed orders without the jokes, without the energy. He'd become a real soldier, exactly what Los had tried to avoid. The Kobayashis never came for them. Marcus's protection was real. They were safe, but safe isn't the same as free. Los sat in the janitor's closet one Friday afternoon, counting money that wasn't really his, managing an operation he didn't really control, wearing a yellow camo hoodie that felt like a costume now. Jay walked in, didn't say anything, just stood there. Remember when it was just us? Los asked. Yeah. Was it better? Jay thought about it. It was ours. Los nodded, kept counting, kept moving, kept surviving, because that's what they did, that's what they'd always done. But sometimes survival costs more than dying. Sometimes being king means making choices that leave scars deeper than any beating. And sometimes the snow melts, the world moves on, but the cold stays inside forever. They say snow changes everything. They're right. It just doesn't change it back.